Hey folks, we are back at IamDeveloper.live. I'm your host Nick Taylor, and today I'm hanging out with Chris Demars. Chris, how you doing, my man?
Doing good, brother. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Like I was saying before the stream, you're my guinea pig for today. I'm using Restream for the first time, so I've got like all kinds of screens going on my computer. I feel like I'm in the Matrix or like Minority Report, swapping things all over the place. But
Yeah.
I did a couple checks and it looks like everything seems to be working on the tubes and Twitch, so that's all good. Um, yeah, so for folks who might not know who you are, you mind kind of giving us the lowdown of who Chris Demars is?
Ooh, yeah. Who am I? Well, for one, I'm a developer advocate at Split Software, so that's my life. I love community. I am a horror, spooky movie fanatic. I also love the paranormal, cryptozoology, and ufology world. If you couldn't tell, if you can like see any of these books back here, it's a whole
Yeah,
library. First shelf is all ghost stuff. Second shelf is crypto, zoology, and the third shelf is all UFO stuff, and then a bunch of toys, all that fun stuff. I paintball, I dirt bike, I do a bunch of cool stuff. I collect tattoos. So if you couldn't tell, I very
yeah,
tattooed.
I barely noticed the tattoos.
No, there's no way. And
Yeah,
let's see what else. I travel around the world and talk about accessibility and CSS and front end stuff and A/B testing, and yeah, that's the life.
cool, cool. No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, thanks for hanging today. I know you got a lot on the go. You were last week, I think you were at HalfStack Conf. Uh,
Yeah.
were you giving a talk there, or were you just at the conference?
No, I gave a talk on it was Half Stack Phoenix,
Okay.
Arizona, like right outside of Phoenix. And I gave a talk on A/B testing, and the title of the talk is called "Demystifying the Dreaded A/B Test." So it's a
Okay.
30-minute talk. It was really cool. I'm doing it again. I think I'm doing it again in April at Dev
Okay.
Nexus in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. Oh, cool, cool, cool. No, that's awesome. So I guess we'll talk about a few things first. I'm just gonna drop a couple links for you on Twitch here, and so I just drop in your Twitter if folks want to follow the trail in your bio there to all your other links, and I also dropped a link to Split Software, which Split just dropped into the Twitch chat. So hey, Split, what's up? Um, yeah, you were talking about your talk about A/B testing, so I think that's a good place to start. So before we get into the A/B testing, though, you're currently working at Split Software, and
Mhm.
I guess for folks who might not be aware of Split Software, can you kind of give us the lowdown of that as well, and then we can
Yeah,
definitely jump into some split testing, A/B
yeah,
testing.
for sure. So Split Software is a feature management and monitoring platform. So we have products and we have SDKs and we do a bunch of stuff that is revolved around A/B testing, feature flags,
Okay.
CI/CD, progressive delivery, canary release, stuff like that.
Okay. Cool. 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 And I guess out of all those things that the company does, one of the things that I'm assuming they do well or enable is being able to do A/B testing.
Yep, A/B testing and feature flags are like the thing, which
Okay.
is really, really, really powerful.
Yeah, no, I guess let's start there. So like, because not everybody might be familiar with these terms. So I guess if you could break it down in your own words, like first off, what's a feature flag, or what are feature flags for? And then we
Mhm.
can kind of jump into A/B testing.
Yeah, so a feature flag is pretty much just like a toggle, I guess you could say,
Okay.
that hides or shows a feature, right?
Okay.
So you could take an experience, and this is where you get into the A/B testing. You could
Yeah.
take the experience, which is the A, like the UI or anything. It could be back end, front end, mobile, and
Yeah.
you have that experience, and then you can create another um, UI with different features, right? And you can
Yeah.
hide that behind a flag in like a web console that we offer. And then you
Okay.
can turn that on for a certain amount of given people, or you can turn that on for certain or a certain locale, or you can turn it on for people within your organization, right? That's when you
Yeah.
get into like testing in prod, which is really,
Okay.
really cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I know we use feature flags pretty heavily at Netlify, and it's a great way to slowly roll out stuff. So we can we definitely find that kind of stuff useful.
Yeah.
Um, so let's okay. So we've got the feature flag. So I'm guessing this ties into A/B testing for folks who might not be aware of A/B testing. So what's that look like exactly?
So A/B testing is you could have two different experiences, right? Your A is like the original version that you have, and
Yeah.
then you would create a B version, which would be like, let's say for instance, you have a login with a button
Hmm.
and a link below that that says forgot password or create account, right? So two
Yeah.
inputs, login, password, button, link. That would be the first version. That would be the A version.
Yeah.
So that would be your control. And then you have a second version, which is your B version, right? And that
Yeah.
version, it might look the same, but you might have two buttons instead of just one button, or the buttons might be different colors. So that would be the
Gotcha.
A version, that would be the B version, and that would be the test and the experiment would be to see which one performs better, which one is better at the end of the day. And then gathering the data after you run that experiment for however long you run it, you can take that information and get a better grasp on your user base and
Yeah.
what they like, how much more retention or like time they spend on a website or how much they use that experience. And then you can turn that on or off depending on how that data looks.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Anthony in the Twitch chat is saying he was supposed to write a test about split testing and he got super confused because uh, they only told him after it was A/B testing. So like I guess there's a mix of wording too. Like
Hmm.
do you consider them interchangeable, split testing and A/B testing?
Yeah, yeah. A split is pretty much an A B test, like split
Okay.
down the middle, right? So like 50-50 if you're doing an A B test or, putting that out to as many people as you want, like 75% here,
Yeah.
25% here. So yeah.
Cool. 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 Awesome. And so we can do A/B testing. We got feature flags and stuff. What kind of I imagine you have SDKs and stuff for this. Do you support most of the big languages? Like I'm assuming web dev, you're definitely supporting JavaScript, but I'm curious what other languages you might be supporting.
Yeah, we have SDKs for the front end, the back end, and we have mobile SDKs. So for the front end, we have just a vanilla JavaScript SDK. We have one for React. We have
Okay.
Angular. We have, let's see what else we have. React, Angular, Vanilla JS, Node, and then on the back end, we have Go, Python, .NET, Ruby. There's a couple
Okay.
more. I think we have like 12 to 15. And then mobile, we have iOS, Android, and React Native. So yeah,
Okay.
we
Cool. Cool.
support all of that across the board.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm gonna just grab a link here. I think this is to all. I'm just trying to find the SDK. Oh, SDK source. Here we go. Cool. I'm just gonna drop this in the chat for folks if they want to check it out. I also dropped the link to Split itself if folks want to check out the Split site.
Yeah.
And cool. Okay,
We
let's
also
see. So
offer a free sign up too. So if you don't want to fully invest, if you
okay,
if you want to go the split route, if you kind of dig what you see, that's split.io/sign up.
okay. Let's drop that in the chat too. Split.io/sign up, all one word, I guess. Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. And I'll just drop that over here. I'm I'm used to multitasking when I'm streaming, but I'm in like three chats today. So
Yeah.
it's like
I know. I got
it's
this right here, and then I got Twitch here, and then I got YouTube down here.
yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Cool, cool, cool. So I guess like so it's not just the languages you're supporting. You're supporting like the big frameworks, so they integrate pretty well with. I guess there's the SDK, but there's probably some components for doing that too. Like for example, like in React, you probably have some I don't know, maybe it's a provider or maybe it's some kind of React component for allowing you to easily do these split tests or
Actually, it's just like a drag and drop. Um, just the SDK. Like you pull in the SDK, and then there's a script you throw in, and then with the back end, the web console, you can set the feature flags in the treatments to on and off, and you can set like like percentage based. You can pass it certain attributes, and
Okay.
it's pretty much just if else statements, right? So if this
Yeah.
treatment is on, then show this, else show that, or if you're doing like an A/B/N test. But it's really up to you on how you want to build out that experience, and you just pull in our JavaScript or the .NET like the backendy code to
Yeah.
actually set that up and trigger those feature flags to be on or off.
Okay. Cool. 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 And so you got the split testing, but I imagine with the there's the split testing, but I guess there's also like I'm thinking in the context of like work I do. So like folks know I work at Netlify, and like uh, for example, we have like edge functions, so it's running on the edge, and you can get some information about people, like where they're from, like city
Hmm.
and stuff, and so you can kind of tailor what you give to them. Um, I guess even with the feature flags that Split offers, you could even kind of tap that into there too. Like maybe I don't know, like people coming from Canada, let's say 50% get this test or something,
Yep.
and you can kind of mix it up. Cool.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things that I learned when I started at Split, and I've been at Split since September, so I'm still relatively new. I haven't even been there 6 months, so I'm still
Okay.
learning about all of the things. And our help docs are so robust and or I don't like the term easily, painlessly consumable, right? Because what's easy
Yeah.
to you might not be easy to me or simple. I don't like using those words, but
Yeah.
our docs are very consumable, and there's just so much information in there about the different integrations and what you can do. But one of the things I learned when I started was that you could, base it down to locale. So, like you said, 50% of users coming from Canada or 50% of users coming from Windsor, right? Specifically, will get this experience, and then everybody else will get that experience. Like I think that is so powerful.
Yeah.
I was at a different work environment years ago, and we were doing A/B testing, but we were using Google Optimize,
Okay.
and it was like a WYSIWYG kind of editor. And I don't ever recall being able to boil down by locale. It was just
Okay.
percentage based, 50,
Gotcha.
50, 33 point whatever, 33 point whatever, 33 point whatever. But yeah, I think it's super powerful when you can boil it down to location based.
Yeah. No, for sure. No, that's super cool. And Bumpy Lumps on Twitch is saying, love it when the docs are good. And it's so true. Like it doesn't guarantee that like a piece of software or like an open source project is gonna be successful, but it definitely helps if you can like, get in there and just barely have to ask questions, like I mean, you probably have questions at some point, but like just being able to ramp up like that quickly with good docs, it's super huge.
Yeah.
There's yeah, it's yeah, related to the help docs. There's it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it has to do with docs. The Astro team, which is another framework, they recently fed all their help doc or all their documentation into like a chat GPT thing, and they made this kind of like little concierge service, I guess, and it works really well. And the reason why it works really well is because they have really good documentation. So just throwing that out to your team, if they ever want to kind of see what Astro did, you could, yeah, Anthony dropped it, you can check it out. I think it could be something
Sweet.
interesting.
Yeah,
That's just a
I bring up
tangent.
Chat GPT every now and then, like at work. I'm like, hey, I asked Chat GPT to do this, and it gave me this, and I have a background as a writer, and what it gave me would have been better than what I would have came up on my own,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So it's gnarly how that works. A buddy of mine, Dave Pine, he was like, listen, he's like, Chat GPT is going to blow your mind real quick. Do this for me, and he told me, he said, ask Chat GPT to write you some accessible markup. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
So I did it, and then it spit back out like a whole code snippet of markup that was accessible and explained each piece and like where it
That's
came
nice.
from the WCAG guidelines and all this other stuff. I'm like, what? What is going on here?
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, that could be really useful. I mean, we're definitely going to touch on accessibility soon, but it. that's super huge because like I'm not doing front end at the moment. Like I'm kind of more full stack. I'm working on the frameworks team at Netlify, but I was like the lead front end when I was working at Dev 2, and like I think accessibility, we made accessibility a priority. Like I was telling you before the chat, I got to work with Marcy Sutton for about a month and a half, and there's still work to do there, um, but it's a super important thing. And I, I'm curious about your thoughts on this, but I think a lot of times, because like, I'm even guilty of doing the div soup years ago,
Mhm.
just not knowing better. And you know, I think a lot of times, because like, especially for somebody new coming into the field, there's a lot of stuff they're learning, and not that accessibility goes by the wayside, but it might, like, I know a lot of the boot camps don't necessarily focus on this stuff. And
Yeah,
like, I went to university, but like a long time ago, but web dev, they didn't have courses at that time, but
right.
like even web dev courses like that I'd heard about after I had graduated, nobody was ever talking about accessibility. And I think there's a few things to it. Like I think some people they literally just don't know, like
Yeah.
I don't want to say that's a good reason, but like I think a lot of it is just people are not informed, like it's I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Oh, I have so many thoughts. I have so many thoughts. When I started building on the web, now this is going to age me in web years. Web years is like dog years, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
1 year in human years is 7 years in dog years, right? So this is going to
yeah.
age me a lot. But I started building on the web in 1996. So do the math.
Okay.
I'll be 37 next month.
Yeah.
So do the math. And I learned HTML in school because believe it or not, like the school I was at, we had like a web HTML programming class, but we had typing.
Okay.
Like we did typing way before that, so it was Mavis Beacon. So that's where I learned how to type, like touch type. I don't have to look
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
keyboard. And then it was like fourth or fifth grade. We had a little like web class in elementary school, right? So we learned how
yeah.
to build web pages, just like a web page with animated GIFs and just regular markup in Notepad. Like that's all we had was Notepad, and you didn't indent anything. All the markup was uppercase. There was
Okay.
none of it was lowercase.
Yeah,
You
yeah. The
had,
old school HTML.
yeah, the old school HTML. Like you had doc types. You had, you used marquee and you used blink, and you could use center, and your font size. You did font size by doing +1, +2, +3. Like
Yeah.
that's how you did these things, right? So that's what I learned. But even then, like there was no accessibility. And then I got a book on HTML for Christmas.
Yeah.
Either like right around that same time I was learning everything. So that was HTML 4.0.1 for dummies. You know the For Dummies
Okay.
series. I got
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
those.
yeah, yeah.
But that there was no chapters on accessibility in that. Like the only
Yeah.
thing that talked about accessibility was alt attributes on your images. Like that was it.
Yeah, alt text, I
So
guess. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So having
Mm,
making sure that there is alternative text within your attribute, within your alt
yeah.
attribute. And that was it. So I back in the day, like I didn't know anything about accessibility. I was building stuff that I thought was cool. And young Chris didn't have a domain. Like couldn't afford it. I didn't know you could
Yeah.
even buy those unless you were like a company. Hosting, I didn't know anything about hosting, so I used Angel Fire,
Hmm.
and I bought like a CJB, or I got a CJB.net domain because they were free.
Okay.
And I just built stuff that I thought was cool, like totally horrible in today's world, but I thought it was cool. Like 11, 12-year-old Chris thought it was cool. So
Yeah.
uh, it wasn't until later on in life that I've been slinging code for a long time. It was because of Marcy that I
Hmm.
really, really got into the accessibility space and started learning more about accessibility, and seeing that there weren't a lot of people out there talking about accessibility. And it wasn't being
Yeah.
taught in school, and it wasn't being taught in boot camp. So a lot of it was self-education. But then that's where like people like us come in and travel and write blog posts and talk about accessibility and make sure that people are building it with that in mind. One of the things I say in my accessibility talks is that there's three things that should take priority automatically from the beginning, and that's security, performance, and accessibility. not in that order,
Yeah.
but security, performance, and accessibility, because all three of those are always baked in at the end when crap hits
Yeah.
the fan. And they're all under the UX umbrella, right? So
Yeah.
why not think about these things and implement them first? So
Yeah. No, for sure. I know Anthony's saying in the chat, like, he's saying he still found it difficult to find good, easily consumable alley content. I think there's some really great blog posts out there, and there's the alley project, and I think
mhm.
there's my old coworker Suzanne, who works with me at Netlify now. She has one called Up Your Alley. I always say alley instead of A11Y,
I do
um,
the same.
but yeah, he's saying like, because when people point to the WCAG reference, it's like it's difficult to read. Not difficult to read, but it's like it's a heavy read. It's like if
Yes.
somebody said go read the HTML spec for like something,
Yes.
you know? Um,
Yeah. It's there's a lot there, right? It's very robust. It's kind of like the ARIA, like the way ARIA docs, right? The WCAG
yeah,
and the way ARIA, same thing. They're both from the W3.
yeah,
But they're as robust as they are, they're not as consumable as if somebody was just writing them. Like these docs are being written from a board of people, right?
hmm,
Like Todd Libby. Todd's on a couple of those boards.
yeah,
They're being written from a high level. We need more consumable docs that are more of a low level introductory type of writing style, right? So I
yeah,
can definitely see where the confusion would come in on reading those docs and not being able
yeah,
to find like consumable information on accessibility.
yeah. No, like I know I dropped Marcy Sutton's site. I know she has an accessibility course out right now. I haven't checked it out myself yet, but I've heard good things about it. And I can't remember if I'm pronouncing her name correctly or not, but Sarah Sudan, I believe that's how you say
Hmm.
her. I'm not sure if that's how you say her last name. She has a course too. If anybody has the link to that, feel free to drop it. Um, but yeah, I think I don't know. There's a couple because it's super hard to get it right. There's a lot of easy wins. I think
Hmm.
like for and you have there's a lot of great tools out there. Like for example, the deck. Browser extension, or you can use it in other things like testing components. There's the WebAIM.
DQ.
Yeah, DQ. I always I'm saying it I'm
And
saying it
not
in
Dairy.
French.
Yeah, and
Oh
not
yeah,
Dairy
DQ.
Queen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dairy Queen really cares about accessibility and
Hmm.
soft serve. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a lot of tools there that can like help you fix a lot of things or like give you like I don't want to say easy wins, but there's a lot of stuff that like they can point you to stuff that you can fix pretty much immediately. Like you mentioned the alt text. There's other stuff like there's no main section, there's no header maybe, but like I think another thing about accessibility is like if you use like the existing stuff in the browser, you actually make your life easier. Like for example, like because people have constructed buttons out of divs, and there's so much you have to build into that if
Yeah.
you want to make an actual button work like a button, because like a real button you get focus keyboard, you know
Yep.
what I mean, like the click everything, and then if you do it with divs you have to just handle all that, and it's like I I don't even know why the reflex was going to div initially. I almost kind of wonder if it was a styling thing because like styling for web form elements is pretty good now, but like I'm sure you remember too back in the day, like you still can't even perfectly style a select, for example.
Right. Yeah.
So I wonder if that was part of the reason. Like I want to make it look nicer.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what the reason is, but
Well, I think another big piece of that too is a lot of people don't don't know that semantic markup is out there and it's accessible by default, right? A
yeah,
lot of times people might not even know that a button element is a thing, but you should be using a button element. Like don't use a div because
yeah,
then you got to throw a roll of button on it, and you got to do all the other stuff to bake that accessibility in when that button element comes with its own accessibility, like inherent accessibility properties, principles, and states, right?
yeah,
Like focus and stuff like that. I
yeah,
think that's why, because I mean, you could take a div and style it like a button, vice versa. You
yeah,
shouldn't do that. But back in the day, that's what people did because they
yeah.
thought, oh, I need to make a button and make it custom. oh, I
Hmm.
don't know there's a button element. Like a lot of people don't know that
Yeah.
there's an address element or a small
Yeah.
element, right? They style those things when you can get those things styled directly out of the browser by default.
Yeah, exactly. And even stuff like the date element, that when a crawler searches it, or if somebody has an event, like that can help too, in terms of just providing the date, a semantically available date. Um, I think the you know, I think the styling story might have been one of the big things in the beginning, because, like, I'm sure you remember too, like, everybody uses border radius now. That did not exist before. Everybody had all these, like, corner images, and you were like,
Yeah. Oh
to just
yeah.
make things, like, I remember, because somebody mentioned Dreamweaver, I think Anthony. I remember when I first started using Dreamweaver, you literally had like a like a Photoshop file in there, and you're
Yep.
slicing and dicing it, and that was your whole thing. And you'd see your web page load like chunk, chunk, chunk. And it's like,
Yep.
and obviously a lot of that stuff's not necessary these days, and internet's a lot faster too. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, I just saw. Sorry, I was
The
just gonna say
early
Steph Eccles is in there.
2000s. Oh, hey, stuff. Yeah, the early 2000s when I I started off in Paint Shop Pro. That's way
Okay.
back in the day, Paint Shop Pro. And I was
Yeah.
just making like graphics. I didn't know you could make like fancy web pages, like web UIs, right? In that.
Yeah.
So I upgraded to Photoshop years later, and I would do layouts in Photoshop and
Okay.
go through and slice them and cut them and have spacer gifs and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Spacer
And then
GIF. Yeah.
taking
Yeah.
all that, yeah. And then you could get generated markup out of that. Like I think Photoshop used to do that, or image editor, whatever it was called, that was like
Yeah.
came with Photoshop. It would like just generate the markup for you, and then you could do what you want with it. But then there were like hacks for like the border
Hmm.
radius, like you were saying, where you could make like the width like expand back and forth. So if the button was
Yeah.
bigger, and then you could have you could do the gradient within that button. But that also might be where it comes from as well, is like people are so
Yeah.
used to slicing up images in Photoshop, and it would just spit out divs that
Yeah.
they just continued to use the divs because the button inside Photoshop gave you a div to make it a
Yeah.
button,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Uh, I'm just laughing at Bumpy Lumps in the Twitch chat. I don't know why I had to moderate that comment, but he's like laughing my ass off. I would love more access to Dairy Queen from our DQ reference
That's
before there. Yeah,
funny.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, I could go for a Blizzard. Yeah, the the thing though is nowadays, like, I would, you know, it's pretty well known that accessibility is an issue, and like there's been lawsuits. Like the
Oh
famous
yeah.
one I can think of is like Domino's, but there's also um, accessibility overlays, which I know Todd Livy's
Oof.
always going on about. If you want to raise Todd's blood pressure, just say accessibility overlay.
Yeah.
But these are, you know the Domino's one, and companies like that. It's a very good example of, like, you know even if you don't care about accessibility and you're like some greedy business person, it's in your best interest to do it. You're going to get more customers. It's not like somebody in a wheelchair, or who can't see, is not going to order pizza. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you're literally losing revenue, and also you're losing revenue because you're getting sued. So it's
Yeah.
like, you know it just, I don't know, it just makes complete sense. And I don't know, it's, and especially as like a web dev now, and like, I know there's a bunch of web devs in the chat, like, it's it's actually an amazing skill to have, to stand out from other web devs, because not everybody, and I'm not saying you have to be an accessibility expert, but if you like even just an inkling of accessibility versus somebody who doesn't, you're already going to stand out versus somebody
Yep.
else. And I know I can't speak for other companies, but I know at Netlify, like, it's a big criteria if you're going to work on front end. I know Steph's at Microsoft. She's big into accessibility, and I'm 100% certain that it's a big thing at Microsoft for sure. So
Yeah.
it's like, just in terms of career too. So like, it doesn't mean you need to become an accessibility expert, but being aware of all these things and knowing like a lot of the common stuff to do, I think it's super valuable in terms of kind of standing out from the pack.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crucial part of the whole equation, right? Like
Yeah.
having even just some accessibility experience. Now, if you're just getting started and you're like, entry level, okay, like it can be learned, but I mean, if you've been doing this stuff for a minute and you're still not like with it, then that's kind of a red flag to me, especially like
Yeah.
at companies where I've had to interview people. And if you have some years under your belt and there's nothing on accessibility on your resume,
Yeah.
and I ask you questions about it and you have zero clue, like that's automatically a red flag for me because I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to hire somebody without accessibility experience, even just a little bit of accessibility experience.
Yeah. No, no, for sure. And I'm just gonna give a shout out to a place I volunteer for a sec, the Collab Lab. This was founded by Andrew Hedges, but I mentor and I just volunteer over there. And like somebody I used to work with, EJ Mason, they volunteer over there as well. And
Hmm.
so it's, I'm not going to give the whole spiel of the Collab Lab right now, but basically it's kind of like getting some real world experience working on projects. And we've also incorporated accessibility into that now because, like I was mentioning before, not all not all boot camps do this. And I don't want to say I understand to some degree, but with a boot camp, you're jamming so much in, and like I guess they just make a call. But anyways, but yeah, shout out to the Collab Lab.
Holla, Collab Lab.
Yeah. Oh, hey, are you? Cool, cool, cool. Yeah. So yeah, you're obviously big in on accessibility. You've given several talks about this. You were giving a talk about A/B testing at
Mhm.
half stack conf, but I know I can't remember what because I know you go to a lot of conferences, but you gave a accessibility talk I think this summer. There's honestly I feel like you've given so many talks I don't even know which one it would be, but um, yeah. No, it's like I don't know. Do you think the word's getting out? Like I feel I don't know. I feel there's like as a web developer, like I'm aware of all these things, but I still feel like I don't want to I don't want to say the regular general population, but somebody who's not a web dev,
Yeah,
I think they're still in the dark with a lot of these things unless they're affected by these things.
yeah.
I don't know what you think, but
No, I think that is very much it. If it doesn't bother me, then why should I care?
yeah,
Right? Like that's the way it is. And it's funny because there's a conference going on right now in another
yeah,
country, and I was supposed to go speak at it with a buddy of mine, but some things happened, and he's doing an accessibility piece of the talk.
okay,
And I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to name the conference. I'm not going to name the conference,
okay,
but he told me I talked to him this morning, and he said, "Dude," he said, I wish you would have been here with me for this." He said,
okay,
because somebody came up to me after the talk and said, "I don't want to do accessibility. I want
okay,
someone to do it for me." And they said, "Well, you have two options. You can either purchase this thing or you hire
yeah,
someone." And they were like, "Well, no, I'm not going to do either of those because I just don't feel like doing that."
okay,
I'm like, "What?
wow,
What?
yeah,
What?"
yeah. Yeah, if you're doing web dev, that's like that's no good at all for sure.
No, but
It's
I mean, there needs to be more people out there speaking on it, and I do see it slowly but surely. The word is getting out on accessibility because now you have accessibility conferences, right?
yeah,
And then sometimes, like in like multi-track conferences, there's more accessibility talks, and you're seeing more accessibility workshops that are being done, like day one or day two of a conference.
yeah,
Uh, the word's getting out because I remember back in the day, like if you had a multi-track event, there may be one
mhm,
accessibility talk,
yeah,
right? But now you're starting to see, and as a selection committee member of a couple different conferences, you start seeing a
mhm,
lot more CFPs come in that are
yeah,
accessibility related, that are in the UI UX track or in the front end track, or even
okay,
some that are in like a back end track. Because if it's like a back end talk about Blazor or Razor.net and accessibility, like that's one that
yeah,
me and a buddy of mine do. Um, it's starting to catch on more, I think, but
okay,
not at the level, like not at the level like the rest of the front end is, right? Like
yeah,
there's everybody's talking about React, or everybody's talking about Vue, or everybody's talking about Angular or Blazor or Maui or whatever the case may be, but there's only a few select people
Yeah.
select group of people that are talking about accessibility, and I think that still needs to change. But I think it's still evolving, and more people are getting to know about that. Perfect example. Like I've been in Slack spaces where so much accessibility talk has happened that accessibility
Hmm.
channels were created inside the Slack workspace. So it
Okay.
just, I mean, seeing little things like that really, it really helps out the whole situation.
Yeah. No, for sure. We're just getting some accessibility love in the chat for Ben Myers,
Yeah.
who does the semantics.
Hmm.
I love the play on words too. Um,
That's
yeah,
cool.
there's and the thing too with accessibility, there's a lot, like we were talking about stuff we can fix and stuff, and there's tools out there, but you also can't automate all these things, like you know,
No,
and again, like I said, I think I know a good amount of accessibility, but I'm not an expert, and there's other stuff that I just don't test because I don't have access to these things. Like, for example, I mean, I would definitely use the screen reader. I'm on Mac, so I'll use VoiceOver and check stuff, when I'm tabbing through and stuff, and just hitting the things. But there's other devices like I forget the name of it, but it's when somebody's in a wheelchair and they're either paralyzed or partially paralyzed, and they have to blow into a device.
it's
I
a
forget the name of it.
sip and puff.
Sip and puff, yeah. So that's
Yep.
a device that like people could literally use a website with, and so
Yep.
like something like that I have never tested because I just don't have access to that. But I know there's great companies like I think it's Fable, and you can basically do your best effort for accessibility, and then you can contract them, and they have real world users, and they
Yep.
give you hopefully constructive feedback. I've never used them, but
Yeah.
I was trying to get Dev 2 to use this when I was there. Like I said, we had Marcy there, and we definitely made huge strides with accessibility there, but that part didn't pan out yet. But yeah, it can't all be automated basically.
No, I mean, there's a lot of tools out there, and I talk about a lot of the AT, the assistive technology in my talks, and
Yeah.
it's sort of funny too because I'll I'll have a room full of people, or I'll have 5 people in a room. It doesn't matter, but at least one or more of those people is wearing glasses, and
Yeah.
I ask them, and I talk about AT, and I ask them, I'm like, do any of you know that you have assistive technology right now? And they'll
Yeah.
look at me dumbfounded, and it's like, your glasses are your assistive technology, but you're so used to wearing that, you take
Yeah,
that for granted. You know what I
for
mean? And
sure.
like, I only wear glasses in front of the computer, right? That's the only time I wear
Yeah.
these. I don't need them. Like, I have decent eyesight, I guess you could say. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
2020, um, but I talk about braille machines. I talk about sip and puff machines. I talk about tap machines. I talk about voiceover or screen readers. I talk about keyboards with large print on them,
Yeah.
right? I talk about all these different things because it's not just screen readers. Like, a lot of people
Yeah.
think, oh, it's just screen readers. That's we just need to test on screen readers. Like, well, no, if you have access to all these other different types of tools, or you can contract them out, go for it. There's a there's a couple different videos out there, and I talk about them. I don't have the clips of them because a
Okay.
couple of them are on TikTok, and I don't do
Yeah.
TikTok anymore. I went down a rabbit hole. I couldn't get out of the rabbit hole. But
Okay.
there's one video, and it was broadcasted on TV, and I'm
Yeah.
sure you've probably seen it. But it's from Microsoft and Xbox,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's a video. It's a commercial of a kid, and he's inside his house, and he's watching all his homies outside play, and he can't go outside and play, right?
Yeah.
Because of an impairment or a disability. And then once they're outside playing or done playing, they come inside and play Xbox with him. But he can't use a
Hmm.
normal controller. But
Yeah.
he's using the tap controller that Microsoft created for the Xbox. And so he can
Yeah.
tap it and play the video games. And he's having a good time with his friends because he can enjoy his time. Like, that is
Yeah.
powerful. Like, Microsoft is doing amazing things in the
Yeah.
accessibility space. Like, that's hats off to them. There's a couple other videos out there. There's one that I did show before, and it was from TikTok, and I forgot where it was, but I gave the person the credit for it. It's a kid,
Hmm.
and he little league. I think it was little league or varsity or junior JV. I don't know, baseball,
Okay.
and he's coming
Gotcha.
off the field, and he's colorblind. He has color vision deficiency. I don't know what kind. There's a
Hmm.
handful of them. There's deuteranopia, protanopia, tritanopia, monochromatic. And monochromatic being the most rare. One in 33,000 people experience
Okay.
monochromatic, which is shades of gray. And I think his mom or an aunt or somebody in his family gave him a pair of glasses, and he took the glasses out of the case, put the
Okay.
glasses on, and he's looking around. He said, "This is what you look like." That's what he said to the person, and he started crying because he could see color with these
Yeah. Yeah.
glasses. That is so powerful. And
Oh,
if
for
you
sure.
can be in a situation, any situation when it comes to accessibility, not just digital and web, any piece, like you're
Yeah.
making the lives of people better. You're improving humanity.
Yeah.
And you're doing that from a keyboard if you're in the digital space, right?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you want to do that? That is so
Yeah.
powerful to make somebody else's life better, even for 10 seconds they have some glasses on. Like, come on. Like it's a no-brainer at that point. Like, why wouldn't you want to do it?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So,
for sure.
but even then, like testing and screen reader stuff like that. The one thing I do want to say about screen readers is a lot of times, you talk about automating things like Axe
Hmm.
will automate. Axis does automation, right? But you only get like 20 to 50% ish of all accessibility issues. You have to
Yeah.
manually test. You have to
Yeah.
use a screen reader. You have to just use the keyboard. If you have other tools, use those. Run a color contrast check on things. Do run a color vision deficiency, color blindness simulation on the experience. See how it looks to other people.
Hmm.
But the one thing that I always stress is that if you're running a screen reader, don't look at the screen when you're doing it. That's
Yeah.
cheating. Blur the screen, close your laptop lid a little bit or whatever, like throw a black shirt or a black hoodie over your monitor and just
Yeah.
listen. Because if you're reading what's going on the screen and you're listening, that's not fair to anybody.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I tried something at Dev too. There's I can find the pull request, but uh, Marcy Sutton created this thing that this package npm package that disables your mouse. Like basically any mouse interaction on the page doesn't work, so you have
No
to use the
mouse days.
keyboard. Yeah, no mouse
No
days. So
mouse
I tried
dice. Yep.
I tried to implement it. I had a pull request up and it was good intentions, but a lot of the team was like, it's not because they didn't want to work on accessibility. It was just a lot of them. I was I was the only front end at the time, and then we got like a few others, but or one other I should say. So like most of the team was doing back end and Rails, and this kind of thing kind of blocked them from doing their actual work. So I kind
Yeah.
of understood that, but it was still I gave it the college try.
But the point was made, right? They
Yeah,
couldn't do it because they don't know how to navigate with just a keyboard. I did that to
yeah,
somebody in a job I had one time, and I told them, .NET developer,
yeah,
I said, put your mouse away. Put your mouse away for one day and see if you can just use a keyboard. An hour went
yeah,
by and they came up to me and they said, Demars, they're like, I can't do this.
yeah,
Like, and they were like, I get it now. Like I fully understand what you are saying about accessibility because
yeah.
they're like, I can't just do this with a keyboard. I can't write code with just a keyboard. I need my mouse. I'm like, well,
Mhm.
you were just put in somebody else's shoes and you got to experience what that was like. And it like the light
Yeah.
bulb went off.
Yeah. And the thing too is like these things that make like the digital space more accessible, it doesn't even necessarily have to be because, somebody, can't use a mouse. Like I can think of uh people that do data entry, you know. So they've got this grid and they need to enter tab, and if all of a sudden you can't tab around and do stuff, it's like
Right.
you're literally slowing them down and it's just annoying, and they'll probably get what's it called, RSI, or what is it, the repetitive syndrome, from the clicking
Hmm.
like crazy, I guess. But I mean, obviously it's definitely super helpful in general to be accessible, but like there's even use cases where people who don't necessarily need it, well, not necessarily, I'm not saying that right, but repetitive stress injury, thanks, Anthony. But yeah, it still helps people that do their job better too, potentially in some cases. So it's like
Yeah.
there's nothing bad about it really, honestly, at all.
There
It's like,
isn't. There is nothing bad about accessibility and shipping accessible software.
yeah,
Everybody's going to benefit from that. not just the person with the disability
Yeah.
or or the impairment. And like I say, we're not shipping five different experiences, down the wire. We're shipping one experience that works for everybody. And
Yeah.
if you don't have an impairment or a disability, which I feel we all do, because you have to
Yeah.
also factor in hidden impairments,
Yeah.
ADHD, anxiety, stuff like that. Because I have that. I've diagnosed health anxiety with accompanying OCD.
Yeah.
uh, Everybody's going to benefit from that experience if you make it accessible or try your
Yeah.
hardest to make it accessible, right? Everybody's going to benefit from that.
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. And there was something else I was thinking of. Yeah, I know at Dev 2 we also had like for people that what's people who are dyslexic, there's actually a dyslexic font you can use too.
Yep.
And so, just giving a shout out to my old homies, but yeah, no, it's yeah, there's so much about it. And the other thing too is, you do have to have the people on board. Like, there's definitely like I've heard it from my old coworkers. She's my current coworker again, actually. But Suzanne, like being the alley advocate at a place, it can burn people out because people don't listen to you, or you're the only person doing that work. So it's really amazing when you can get a company on board, and that, you know, like from the top down, and that means design as well, because like designers are super creative, but sometimes even if they make something that looks amazing, does that UX flow, does that even make sense? Is like that
Yeah.
flow accessible? So there's like so much. I don't know. There's just so much.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you bring that up too, because I make that point in all of my talks. It starts with design.
Yeah.
It starts with design. I talked about this yesterday. I think I talked about it
Okay.
yesterday. I did a handful of community things yesterday. I can't keep track of spaces and webinars and Twitch streaming. It's good to be
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
busy, right? It's good to be busy in DevRel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I talk about this all the time, and it starts with design. Like your designers have to understand flow. They have to understand
Yeah.
the user flow, right? And how your user is going to navigate the page. Your designers have to understand interaction, web interaction, and
Yeah.
user interaction. Your designer has to understand color contrast and making sure
Yeah.
that the brand colors work, right?
Hmm.
Your designers have to understand a little bit about the web content accessibility guidelines. They don't have to know
Yeah.
them all, but they have to know some of that low hanging fruit stuff. Because at the end of the day, the designer is handing off the design to the developer. The developer can only work with what the designer gave them, right?
Yeah.
So then
Exactly.
you start opening up collaboration and communication around those things. But yeah, it definitely starts with design first and foremost.
Yeah. And the thing too is it's okay to push back. Like I, I remember, well, just at Dev too, because this stuff's all fresh in my mind. So Anuj, who's one of the awesome designers over there, uh, had a Figma up, and then like right away I was like, color contrast issues. Like I didn't even check it in a checker. Like I like visually I could tell it was already
Yeah,
not contrasting well, and I
right.
just I just gave that feedback. Say, hey, this color it doesn't work. Like I think it was I think the font color was white, and then the background was whatever it was. It just wasn't jamming well with it, and he
Hmm.
took the feedback really well, and made the change, and it still looked amazing, and it's not like, it's okay to push back on stuff like that, and I can think of one other example. So I know you know this, but like the order that HTML elements are in the page, when you tab, that's how they will tab. And we had part of the onboarding flow for Dev 2. There was one, it's kind of like a wizard as you go through it. And at one point, there was like a back and a next button, and then there was the form, and the order of the markup was affecting the tabbing order. So you would basically, it would start off on the back button, and if you click tab, it would go right to the next, I think, or something got out of order basically, and that was literally because of the order of the markup. So I can't remember if that ever got changed, but just thinking of examples here, and it's
Yeah,
not, definitely not criticizing my old peeps, just trying to give some
no,
real world examples.
for sure.
Um, yeah. Cool, cool, cool. Well, I know this is something you're super passionate about. Like you said, you give tons of talks about this. Um, And you mentioned it's a busy year in DevRel, and I don't know, that's a good hook to kind of transition over to maybe talking about DevRel.
Let's
Um,
do it.
I know you've been doing this for a while. You're leading DevRel right now at Split, is that right?
Yep, I am leading the DevRel program. I joke around, and I say like I'm the team lead, the director, and the VP of DevRel at Split Software.
Yeah.
I am it. I am making things happen and doing a lot of cool stuff over there.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess a few things. Like I'm not in DevRel. Like I feel like I do some DevRel things like streaming here and stuff, and I do enjoy that stuff. But what do you I guess what is DevRel to you? I guess like what would you like if somebody came up to you and said, "What is DevRel?" What would you say to them?
Ooh. Well, first I want to say you are definitely a DevRel person to me because you put out content and you're doing streaming and you're speaking. Like even if your official title is not developer advocate, you are an unofficial developer advocate, and we love you for that because we love community.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Um, Hell yeah. Developer relations and developer advocacy. It depends on what like who you talk to, who you ask. Like everybody, I feel everybody's going to tell you something different.
Okay.
Personally, for me, I am the voice of the internal and external developer communities
Okay.
to make a safe, inclusive space to learn, teach, mentor, and share information and knowledge about product and product adjacent technologies.
Okay.
That's pretty good. I just made that up off the spot. That sounded really good. But like for instance, like if you were to read
Yeah.
Mary's book, this is a plug for Mary's book, The Business Value of Developer Relations, a great book. I also
Okay.
have an extra copy of this, and I'm thinking of doing a giveaway. So
Okay.
maybe you and I can figure something out, Nick, and maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
do
Well, we can
something
make
at
it
some
happen.
point.
Yeah. Let's make
But
it
yeah, like
happen.
so there's a specific definition here on that, right? But there's also
Yeah.
interviews in here with other developer advocates, and I
Okay.
think everybody has something different to say. But to me, that's what developer advocacy is to me. It's community, it's relationships, and it's community.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Community and stuff, and like again, I'm not in the space officially, but like I think one thing I've heard from a few people that I know in DevRel is like, who do you fall under? Like, are you under engineering or marketing? Because that can kind of sway how it works, I think.
Hmm. Yeah,
And it's like,
I'm under product marketing.
okay,
So, but everybody on my team is a lead. Like we have certain people that do certain things, and like we are the team, but each one of us
yeah,
is like a lead, right? We are like a senior lead, and
okay,
we fall under product marketing. So we do a lot of stuff like that, and then
hmm,
DevRel is kind of falls into that whole entire space because my team handles the docs, we handle
yeah,
webinars. Like there's a big marketing team, but my team specifically, we do a lot with the docs and webinars, and
okay,
then I do the we do product releases. We talk about all the product releases and put those docs together in presentations, and
okay.
then we DevRel. I do the DevRel piece.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And I guess part of that too is like I know it got affected by the pandemic, but like
Oh,
I imagine traveling a lot is, I think from what I've seen, I think people enjoy it, but sometimes obviously you run out of gas.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I so 3 years ago, I was doing 30 events. Like my year was
Wow.
30 events all around the
Wow.
world: Bulgaria, Romania, London, England. I was everywhere.
Okay.
And Jason Lengstorff told me, he said, Chris, he said, I'm worried about you. I don't want you to burn out. And me
Yeah.
being, you got to go. Like I'm an extrovert. Like I got to go. I got to be there. I don't want FOMO. Like I got to be with my people.
Yeah.
And at one point, I was like, damn, dude, Jason was right. Like I burned myself out. So, but like right after that, I think I did
Yeah.
maybe like I did less than 30 the following year. And
Okay.
then I think 2020 hit, and I did one in-person event before COVID happened, and that was in
Okay.
Fremont, California, for a Google developer group, the GDG Fremont Dev Fest, and that
Okay.
was it. And then everything went on lockdown, and that sucked. But I do love traveling. I don't always like going on airplanes and airports just because of like the company that you run into on in airports
Okay.
and planes, and it can be super frustrating.
Okay.
People are frustrating, but like people that travel can be frustrating. I'm sure I'm frustrating. But other than that, like I love flying. I love going to new places. I love seeing friends. I love
Yeah.
speaking, being in new places all the time, or even places I've already been to. Right, like I
Yeah.
can go back and I can be like that person that introduces newcomers to the area, like, oh yeah, hey, check out this restaurant or check out this bar, or check out this jazz scene. And it's really,
Yeah.
really cool to just be able to like be a voice in the community in that aspect as well.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I hate this term networking. I really don't like to use it myself, but uh, it- networking or whatever you want to call it, just hanging with people, meeting people. I think that's a big component of these things. Like sure, it's great to go to a conference, you hear some awesome talks, or maybe attend a workshop, but it's making those connections with people. That's the kind of thing that maybe something doesn't. One, nothing ever has to come of it. You just meet somebody awesome, and who knows, down the road something happens, or like, or even meeting like a client, a potential client. It's like you're not necessarily trying to sell them right away, or anything, or even trying to sell them at all. You're just trying to be helpful. And
Yeah,
I would imagine they probably remember that later on, and who knows, like a year down the road. Oh yeah, yeah, I remember hanging with Chris. He doesn't he do feature flags or something? Let me
mhm,
send him a message.
right.
Versus somebody just trying to kind of just kind of sell you stuff right away. It's like it just seems less genuine when you're just kind of really shilling right away.
Yeah. One of the big things I talk about when I talk about community is you can go to talks all day long and you can go to workshops all day long, right? That's
Yeah,
great. That's what we're at conferences for the most part, right? That's why organizers and sponsors, they have us there to do talks and do workshops and to share knowledge. And that's great. You can do that all day long, but that's not where
yeah,
the relationship is made. You're not going to know me because of the content that I'm serving in the room on stage.
yeah,
You're going to build that relationship with me in the hallway track, right? That's where the
yeah,
relationships are made, is the hallway track and the dinners and the lunches and the happy hours and going out to the bar, going out to karaoke. Like
yeah,
that's where you're going to make your relation. That's where I've made all my relationships. That's where I've been made all of my friendships
yeah,
was in the hallway track. And when COVID happened, that killed it. COVID killed community for a long time. And we're
yeah,
still suffering from the effects of COVID, right? There are still conferences that are trying to come back. Conferences
yeah,
are trying to get their attendees up. And well, we're 2 years out. We're still dealing with COVID, but we're still, I think we're out of the
mhm,
worst of it.
yeah.
But it's there. A lot of damage was done, and some of that damage is irreversible when it comes to community.
Yeah, like I know some conferences just flat out disappeared just because,
Hmm.
you know, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it's also, side note, pandemics suck, but everybody knows that,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, no, I totally get it being about the people, and like it's not the same thing, but like I played rugby for years, and like there's guys I haven't seen from university, and like we have our reunion, like I think it's next fall. And it's the kind of thing, it's like I'll bump into him again and it's like no time has passed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just from hanging out, being silly together, and doing, just doing stupid stuff. Nothing illegal, but uh,
Yeah.
you know, and like you said, going to a bar, grabbing a bite to eat together, doing something together, basically, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so yeah, I totally see that. And I think, you know, at least because I talked to Becca Harwit Weigel, who's a good friend of mine, who you know as well, obviously from virtual coffee and stuff. And you know, I think community is definitely still happening. It is just different now, but
Hmm.
like a lot of it went virtual initially, but things are opening up again. So like there is that extra, you know, really seeing people now too, which is definitely helping. But yeah, it might take a while to get back to, or maybe it won't get back to what it was, but it'll
Yeah.
be something different. But
For sure.
yeah,
And then, I mean, you got a lot of the hybrid stuff too. Like me personally, I won't. I personally will not do a virtual event. Like if it's a
okay,
conference, I'm not going to do it because I have to be able to, I have to be with people. Like I have
Yeah.
to see their faces and see when the light bulbs go off and see them laughing or see looks of confusion and be able to walk off stage. 'Cause I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you don't have to care about anything I'm talking about. But if
Yeah.
you like, scary movies and tattoos, like let's talk after in the hallway. Like we
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
vibe on that. Like I've had it's funny. I I have people come to my talks that have seen me speak before and they never miss a talk that I give if it's at a specific conference.
Okay.
When I was at Half Stack, somebody came up to me after, and Half Stack Phoenix was in a movie theater. It was single track in a movie theater with
Okay.
where the talks were, and then there was an overflow theater across the hallway.
Okay.
And I sat down. Me and Todd were sitting there because Todd was also there, and Todd
Okay.
gave his talk before I gave my talk. I think it might be backwards. No, Todd was during lunch. I was right after lunch, and
Okay.
we were sitting down, and somebody came up to me and they said, I could watch you talk about anything at this point. Because this person's never met me, right? And they're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you have so much energy and enthusiasm, and you tell it how it is. I don't care what you're talking about. I want to see it. So like, but I need that, right? I can't just look
Yeah.
at a camera, and this is different because I can see you, right? You and I
Yeah.
are
Yeah. Yeah.
vibing. But usually when you're giving a virtual talk, you're just got the camera. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't
Exactly.
know if things are going over people's head or if it's clicking or
Yeah.
I just can't do virtual events like that. So
Yeah.
hybrid's cool. There's a handful of conferences that do the hybrid thing, and that's really, really cool. If you don't want to go to the conference, totally understandable. You could do the
Hmm.
hybrid piece of it. But yeah, I thrive in a in person space, and that's where I belong.
Yeah. No. No. It's all good, and you've been doing the circuit for a while, so I think you've established yourself, so you can definitely also say that, you know what I mean? Like, uh, and I mean in the sense like we were talking before. Uh, I'm giving a talk at a conference called Node Congress in April 14th to April 17th. That's just my shameless plug, but I can't make it down to Germany, so I'm gonna give the talk virtually. But I'm still doing it because it's a good opportunity for me. But I definitely do wanna be at an in-person conference giving a talk. I'm going to Render Atlanta this summer. I'm not talking, I'm attending, so I'm really excited
Yeah,
about that. But I'm super stoked to be able to give a talk in front of people because I've given a lot of talks, but they've been virtual.
yeah,
Just one, it was mainly because of the pandemic. But yeah, so that's my goal and shameless plug.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you and I still have yet to meet in real life, right? Because
Yeah,
we're Twitter
exactly. Yeah,
buds.
yeah,
So
yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, there's like a ton of people like for folks who aren't aware, there's a really awesome community called Virtual Coffee. I knew Chris from Twitter too, I think before that,
mhm.
um, but there's like a ton of people who I talk to all the time, but I've literally never met them, and it's I enjoy talking to them, but it is still kind of weird that I've never met any of these people. So I'm really hoping a bunch of these people I can meet someday. Oh, cool! Thanks for dropping that link.
Yep,
Um,
sir.
yeah, so it's no, I definitely feel the in-person stuff for sure, you know. Um, cool, cool, cool. Well, I think we hit all the pieces here. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to. I mean, obviously we could talk about horror or
Yeah.
UFOs. I'm sure you could talk about that for
Oh,
hours.
I could. I could talk. Yeah, all of these topics: crypto, Bigfoot. We could talk about ghosts and paranormal. We could talk about the Phoenix Lights, and Betty and Barney Hill. And I could talk about
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. We could talk about Red
yeah,
Wings. We could talk hockey. How about them Red Wings? I was at the
yeah. How
game last
about
night.
those
We
Red Wings?
lost.
Oh,
They're
it,
not doing good after that All Star break.
it's kind of funny because for folks who don't know, I'm in Montreal, Canada, which is like hockey mecca, and I've been to literally one Canadians game in my life. I think maybe two, and I can barely skate. And Chris knows this, but I have an ice rink I built in my backyard, but it's not for me really. It's for my daughter who plays ringette, which I'll let folks Google that. It's not hockey. It's kind of it's just different. but yeah, so it's always funny because like if I'm out somewhere, like if I'm in a bar and it's like not, like I remember snowboarding at J Peak, and I was ordering a drink at the bar, and then sports was on or something, and it was a Canadians game or something, and then the guy's just he asked me where you from. I'm like Montreal, and then he just started rambling on to me about the Canadians for like 5 minutes, and all I had to do is I'm a headline skimmer, so I'm like, yeah, how about Carey Price, or how about this stuff, it's and it was like 99% him talking, but it just kind of
Yeah,
cracked me up. So
that's funny.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
good, talking about community. I like the whole community thing because I'm in other communities, right? And one of them
yeah.
being the paranormal community. And I there's a conference here in Michigan, convention
Okay,
called Michigan Paracon, and it's up in the UP. In the
okay,
UP, so like this is the lower part, and this is the upper part, right? So
okay,
like this piece right here is the UP, and
okay,
it's in Sault Ste. Marie, and it's
okay,
a
okay,
three-day event. Really awesome. I went last year, had a blast, and I got a couple more paranormal things coming up this year that I'm going to be a part of. But
cool.
speaking of community, Alex in the chat, Bumpy Lumps,
Yeah.
I met him through the paranormal community first before I found out he was a software developer.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So like, yeah, that's just the power of Twitter, right? Like we were in the same
Yeah.
conversations with my buddy John Tenney, who's local here, paranormal investigator, has been doing it for 33 some years. Uh,
Okay.
but but Alex, we watch the same TV shows and we read the same books and we're in the same conversations in the paranormal and UFO and cryptozoology communities on Twitter. Come
Yeah.
to find out, he's a software engineer. And then I found out at a conference that Cecilia Martinez, friend of mine, if you
Is
might
that
know Cecilia,
Ionic,
she's
right?
at Ionic. My friend
Yeah, yeah.
Cecilia was a mentor for Alex. So like
Okay.
it's just all full circle. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, and I can definitely speak to community too. Obviously, you know, when people appreciate you, like I'm a firm believer, if you're just helping people, things come your way at some point. You got to still put in some work, but getting your first job is super hard, and this is years ago because my first professional job was in 2002, and I got my first job because of somebody I played rugby with. I was I was working internet technical support after I finished school. Then I was doing some admin work, and then I was this was literally my interview. It was after practice. We would always it's a stereotype, but a lot of people that play rugby do go drink beer after, and so we're just having some beers at the local old man bar. And Bob, who was my future boss, he's like, "Oh, didn't you finish school recently? Are you still looking for work?" And this was when, I don't know if people remember Visual Basic 6, but he literally gave me, like, this is after having a few beers, he literally gave me a CD-ROM for Visual Basic 6. He said, "Take this home, if you want the job, come in on Monday." That was the interview.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously I'd been looking for jobs before that, but it just ties into the community here because like this is somebody I've been playing rugby with for a while, so they trusted me, like, because we played together on the field, and he literally just gave me a chance. He could have been like, this could have been the worst decision he ever made, but I felt pressure to do well and not fail, and that's what kickstarted my career. And then a lot of my jobs have been typically through people I know or a connection of somebody. It's been pretty rare that I do a cold apply,
Mhm.
so it's just shout out to community is all I'm saying.
Yeah, community is powerful. Like it just blows my mind. Like I met Alex through paranormal community,
Yeah.
right? And then finding out that he's a software engineer and runs in the same circles. But like when I was at Paracon, it was a whole different community to me. Like because I'm so used to
Yeah.
our community, right? And I'm usually the one on stage,
Yeah.
and it's people in the audience that may or may not be like have imposter syndrome to come up and talk to me. Well, then I
Hmm.
was in that position at Paracon
Okay.
because like I'm seeing people on stage talk, and all these people I watched them on TV and TV shows and the books I have, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I hope I can meet them. like I want to walk up and talk to them. Like there's a handful of people I want to walk up and talk to and
Yeah.
get pictures with. And but like it was different being on the other side of the
Yeah. Yeah.
stage. And
No, no, for sure.
it humbles you. It really, really humbles you. Cause like I'm going to our friend Tenny and I'm like, John, like I'm scared to talk to this person. I'm scared to talk to this person. Like I don't want them to like pass me off as like just a fan or whatever. And he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Chris, because he knows what I do. He's like, you're in communities too. He's like, you travel and speak. He's like, it's no different. And you're a nice person. All of these people are nice and are willing to
Yeah.
hang out and talk and take pictures and sign autographs and stuff. So it was pretty cool.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Cool, cool, man. Well, listen, I think unless there's anything else you want to chat about, I think we can probably call it here for today. But I'd definitely love to have you back on again at some point, man. And
Yeah.
like you're saying, we can do that mashup if you want to give away that other book that you got the copy there. I dropped the
Yeah.
link to that. It's up a little further in the chat, but he's like 6 messages up. But yeah, no, this has been awesome, man. Like, also congrats again on heading DevRel over at Split. Yeah, like you said,
Thank
you're
you.
still kind of fresh there, but seems like you're doing awesome stuff there. So
Yeah, yeah, we got a
yeah,
lot of stuff going on. Got a lot of stuff
cool,
going
cool,
on.
cool,
Twitter Spaces, Twitch stream, we got all that.
awesome. I'm just gonna drop a couple links for you and Split again, and I'll just drop them on the YouTubes as well.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, no, aside from that, I'm trying to think who's coming. I always, every time I do this, I always forget who's coming on on the stream next week. Let me just drop the schedule real quick and see
Yeah.
here. Dun,
Yeah,
dun,
while
dun.
you're getting that squared away, if anybody wants to follow me on Twitter, it's on screen, Salt and Burnham. If you're a Supernatural fan, you'll understand that reference. Twitter Spaces is being done on the Split Software Twitter account. So
Okay,
twitter.com/Split Software. Next week is going to be the Valentine's Day special with me and Becca.
okay,
We're going to do a Valentine's Day special all about community. So definitely, set a reminder for that. It's going to be really, really fresh.
cool.
Um, the twitch.tv/split_software. I kicked off the Twitch stream last week, the week before. So I'm coming up with a content
Okay,
calendar for that. I want to get you on that, Nick. We can do whatever. We can have a
yeah,
blast on
yeah, for
that.
sure,
That'll be
man.
really, really fun.
Yeah, I
I got a
love that,
couple
man.
conferences coming up. I'll be in Orlando, Florida for Orlando Code Camp next month, the 25th of March.
Okay,
I'll be speaking at a local meetup here in Detroit in about a week. I'll be at Dev Nexus in Atlanta, Georgia, in April, and then in May I will be
yeah,
in Portland, Oregon,
okay.
speaking at
So,
Chain React.
oh,
I'm doing a
cool.
lightning talk. Yeah, I'm doing a lightning talk on accessibility and React Native apps.
Nice,
So yeah,
cool,
so that'll
cool.
be cool. And so far, that's the schedule for now.
Yeah, so just a few things.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's super cool, man. Yeah, and I remembered who it was. It's Lucia Searchy is going to be on, who I think you're doing a space with. Is it this week?
We did that
Uh,
yesterday.
oh, it's yesterday. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, you did that space on Kafka, I think, and she's
Yep.
coming on to talk about Kafka. We're going to kind of do a 101 with I think their Node.js SDKs. So
Nice.
I'm gonna get a little out of my comfort zone because I don't know much about Kafka aside from kind of what it does, but
Yeah.
so I'm looking forward to that. And I've had Lucy on a few times before, so it's always great chatting with her.
Yep. Her and I
Um,
were together in Phoenix. Me, her, and
oh,
Todd.
cool,
Yeah, we were
nice.
all there speaking. So she did a talk on Apache Kafka
Okay,
in like the JavaScript space using Apache Kafka. So it was pretty sweet. I liked her slides
cool,
a
cool,
lot. It was really, really cool. So yeah, we did our Twitter Spaces yesterday. The recording
cool.
is out there on Twitter. You just have to search it. It'll be, if you search like the Split Software Twitter account, it should be
Okay,
out there because we recorded it. So yeah, you can take a listen to it. And yeah, like I
cool.
said, next week is going to be the Valentine's Day special with me and Becca. That's gonna be really
Yeah,
fun. So
I'm
yeah,
definitely checking that out. Yeah, no, definitely
so
check
yeah,
that out, folks. Cool, cool. All right, with that, yeah, Lucia next week, and I'll see you all next week, folks. And Chris, if you just don't mind staying on for a sec. Thanks
yeah.
again, everybody, and looks
Thanks.
like worked on the YouTubes as well today. So take care, everybody.
Sweet.